Assalamualaikum and a very good day I bet to all examiners, friends and my fellow audience. My name is Nur Hafizah Hazwani binti Azmi from Degree of Marine Technology UiTM ARAU, Perlis. My supervisor is Encik Jamil bin Tajam, the one that helps me a lot during this final year project's progress. So today, I would like to present my final year project title, which is Review on BENTHIC MEIOFAUNA Community and Diversity in Mangrove Ecosystem with Environmental Variables. Here is the table of contents of my presentation that include abstract, introduction, literature review, conclusion of the review, and recommendations for improving the research on BENTHIC MEIOFAUNA community in the future. For abstract, mangrove meiofauna diversity is a unique phenomenon which is a type of invertebrate that are less than 1 millimeter long and can be found in large numbers in benthic populations. They are a very important part in mangrove ecosystem that provide a lot of goods and services. So, this review looks at the different kinds of intertidal meiofauna, looking forward to their community, also the factors that affected them and importance of the meiofauna for mangrove ecosystem. For introduction, first of all, let's see the research background. Southeast Asia is a 3,100-mile long archipelago that connects Asia and Australia. Coastal marine ecology is where the land and sea meet, which is mangrove ecosystem. Mangroves are made up of species that are genetically related and often classified based on shared traits that low in plant species diversity and density. Meiofauna is a type of invertebrate less than 1 millimeter in size, plays a vital role in mangrove ecosystem. Environmental variables like pH, temperature, salinity, and anthropogenic pollution affect meiofauna distribution and mangrove ecosystem as well. For problem statement, there are 3 problems that have highlights. First, meiofauna is in small size and difficult to identify. Research on meiofauna also not fully explored by scientists that lead a few articles about them. And lastly, description on benthic environment that lead to meiofauna's extension. There are 5 research questions that I would like to highlight, which are first, what is the biodiversity of the intertidal meiofauna? Second, what is the classification of meiofauna in mangrove ecosystem? Next, how the changes to the intertidal meiofauna of mangrove reflected in their habitat attributes and structure. Next, will environmental factors affect variation in species richness, diversity and abundance of the intertidal meiofauna in mangrove ecosystem? And lastly, what is the importance of meiofauna towards the mangrove ecosystem? For significance of study about meiofauna, first, meiofauna give a lot of benefits towards marine ecosystem. Meiofauna also play the important role in benthic community processes such as bioturbation and as a worldwide climate change indicator. For objective of study, first, to identify the biodiversity of the intertidal meiofauna. Second, to overview the classification and morphology of meiofauna in mangrove ecosystem. Third, to review the changes to the intertidal meiofauna of mangrove reflected in their habitat attributes and structure. Next, to investigate the environmental factors that affect variation in species richness, diversity, and abundance of the intertidal meiofauna in mangrove ecosystem. Lastly, to determine the importance of meiofauna towards the mangrove ecosystem. For scope of study, this review describes mangrove meiofauna diversity. Mangrove ecosystem shelter meiofauna and have human and economic benefits. Meiofauna inhabits mangrove sediment and other marine ecosystem. This review examines meiofauna population dynamics. Mangrove meiofauna is affected by temperature, salinity, and anthropogenic pollution. Next, we move to literature review. Mangrove is a plant community of salt-tolerant trees, shrubs, palms, and ferns that thrive in intertidal zones where rivers flow into the sea. Based on the table shown, we can see the mangrove regions in around the Southeast Asia start with Brunei, where 0.17 hectare, followed by Cambodia, 0.60 hectare, Indonesia with 45.4 hectare, which is the largest mangrove area, then Malaysia with 6.4 hectares. For total, the mangrove area in Southeast Asia is 63.2 hectares, which is represent 34.9% of the world. Next, there are a lot of functions of mangrove which are as sinks for waste-borne pollutants, as a sediment removal system, as recreational areas, and for education. Next, we will see about the MEIOFAUNA. So, what is MEIOFAUNA? MEIOFAUNA or MEIOBENTO are bottom-dwelling invertebrates. MEIOFAUNA were thought to fit through a 1000 millimeter filter that not a 42 filter. Murray is a scientist coined the term MEIOBENTO in England in 1942. She has been studied MEIOFAUNA in Teluk Setompok, Kuala Penyu in Sabah from 1986 to 1990. Here also I compile all the current research of distribution of MEIOFAUNA in Southeast mangrove. From this table, we can see nematode is the mostly species that have found in all the research. This is show that nematodes characteristics are suitable for mangrove ecosystem. Next, the second most species have found is copepods, followed by Polychaeta and Foraminifera. Next, classification and morphology of MEIOFAUNA. Here I will explain the three most species that have found in mangrove ecosystem. First, nematode. Nematode is live in less than 1 mm as worms thrive in coastal waters. Their body surface has ridges, rings, and hairs. Second, we have copepod. Copepod has a short antenna, which is their first antenna. The second antenna is called by biromus. The fun fact about the copepods is between the fourth and fifth segments is where the body's main link is. The last one is Foraminifera. Foraminifera contain thin pseudopodia that construct outside nets to capture food. These species frequently have an exterior shell known as a testicle that protect them. Next, the factors that affecting the MEIOFAUNA community in mangrove region. First, grain size food or feeding strategies. The size of sediment grain is a significant element influencing the quantity and composition of MEIOFAUNA. According to Corridal-Desi 2018, the porosity, permeability, and salinity gradients will be determined by differences in sediment particle size. Next, temperature. The physiology of living creatures that has a significant impact since few can live below 0 Celsius owing to metabolic restrictions. For example, nematodes are prevalent in high temperature sediment because it impacts their reproductive mechanism as well. Next, salinity. Each MEIOFAUNA species is more or less tolerant of changes in salinity. In one article, they demonstrate the nematode distribution have no association with salinity, but not for copepods. Lastly, anthropogenic pollution. As we know, anthropogenic pollution is one of contamination from produced directly by human activities. Another research from Kim 2020, the most environmental variables that affect the MEIOFAUNA community is a free chloride, which is Cl2. Next, the importance of MEIOFAUNA for mangrove ecosystem. Linked to higher trophic level is particular fish, also shorebirds, where MEIOFAUNA is directly transfer energy between them. Research show the copepods dominate the guts numerically in situ, and nematode digest some food for young fish. Next, bioturbation is the biogenic transport of sediment particles and pore water, which destroys sediment water. MEIOFAUNA digs microscale burrow by extracellular polymeric substances (EPS). Next, decomposition. MEIOFAUNA dissolve the organic matter generated by enzymes, maximizing the nutrition for mangrove. Next, nutrient cycle and waste removal, where MEIOFAUNA, such as copperpot, alleviate nutrients like excess nitrogen, ammonium, and phosphate as their sources of food. Lastly, MEIOFAUNA is an ecological bioindicator, where in some research, there will be a great pollution indicator because they are more stable than microfauna. MEIOFAUNA also not directly migrated when meet stressful condition, and this characteristic is really help in determining that area. As a conclusion, we can say MEIOFAUNA helps our ecosystem. Nematode, copepods, Polychaeta, Rotifera, and others are the most abundant species in mangrove ecosystem. This review paper also concludes that anthropogenic pollution affects MEIOFAUNA chemically and physically. MEIOFAUNA is important for mangrove ecosystem because it helps baby fish and prawns. MEIOFAUNA adds decomposition and bioturbition. MEIOFAUNA also absorbs nitrogen and as a good ecological bioindicator because it migrates. MEIOFAUNA has many marine benefits and needs to be studied in Southeast Asia marine ecosystem. This review paper shows few MEIOFAUNA morphologies. Other factors affecting MEIOFAUNA community need research. Future research must examine mangrove MEIOFAUNA's role in preserving their ecosystem. Little is known about mangrove MEIOFAUNA during monsoons and tides. It recommends more research on Southeast Asia's mangrove ecosystem, especially in Sabah, Sarawak, and Indonesia. Governments and NGOs must protect mangrove as well. That's all from me. Thank you and have a nice day.